When the clock strikes 12 midnight, the rules reset. The signal breaks free. A new voice goes live. A new sound detonates. Northstrong, Unsanctioned. The podcast that doesn't ask permission, doesn't follow scripts, and doesn't bow to the algorithm. Hosted by Maverick Northstrong. Broadcasting from the edge of culture, where truth, rhythm, and rebellion collide. Streaming on YouTube via the Northstrong frequency. When the world resets, Northstrong goes unsanctioned.
See this crap? Somebody knows I'm talking to you.
Not according to the men in blue.
Oh, what is it this time? Kiddie porn again? Sexual battery of a patient?
They want to discredit you for what?
Because I'm a dangerous man, because I know too much about the truth.
Now that end of the world apocalyptic garbage, you right?
You know my work? I was right about Dallas, wasn't I?
How are you right?
Are you familiar with the antivirus, Agent Mulder?
Yeah, it was a deadly virus spread by field mice in the southwestern United States several years ago.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the hantavirus. Are you familiar with what the Federal Emergency Management Agency's real power is? FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. Think about that. What is an agency with such broad sweeping power doing managing a small viral outbreak in suburban Texas?
You're saying it wasn't such a small outbreak?
No. I'm saying it wasn't the hantavirus.
Well, what was it? What was it?
When we were young men in the military, your father and I were recruited for a project. They told us it was biological warfare, a virus.
What killed those men?
What killed them, I won't even write about. We have no context for what killed those men, or any appreciation of the scale at which it'll be unleashed in the future.
A plague?
The plague to end all plagues, Agent Mulder. A silent weapon for a quiet war. The systematic release of an indiscriminate organism for which the men who will bring it on still have no cure. They've been working on this for 50 years. While the rest of the world have been fighting crooks and commies, these men have been secretly negotiating a planned Armageddon.
Negotiating with whom?
I think you know. The timetable has been set. It'll happen on a holiday when people are away from their homes. The president will declare a state of emergency, at which time all government, all federal agencies will come under the power of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, the secret government.
They call me paranoid.
Go back to Dallas, Agent Mulder, and dig. Or we're gonna find out along with the rest of the country. When it's too late.
The incubation period of the Andes virus, which can be up to 6 weeks, it's possible that more cases may be reported. While this is a serious incident, WHO assesses the public health risk as low.
We don't anticipate a large epidemic. With the experience our member states have and the actions they have taken, we believe that this will not lead to subsequent chain of transmission. But we need to be balanced, reasonable, supportive solidarity in containing this outbreak.
This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship, but this is not the same situation we were in 6 years ago. It doesn't spread the same way like coronaviruses do. It's very different. It's that close, intimate contact that we've seen. And most hantaviruses don't transmit between people at all. Most hantaviruses are transmitted from rodents or their feces or their saliva or droppings to people. And only this one particular virus, the Andes virus, which has been identified here, we've seen some human-to-human transmission.
Good evening. Welcome to this new segment of Northstrong Unsanctioned. The Uncloned deck. I'm Magnus Graves. Tonight's transmission is not about blind denial. It's not about paranoia. And it's definitely not about surrendering your mind to internet hysteria. Tonight is about something much bigger. Fear. The architecture of fear. The economics of fear. The addiction to fear. Because modern society doesn't simply report danger anymore. It monetizes it. And whether the topic is disease outbreaks, political instability, economic collapse, war, crime, artificial intelligence, environmental catastrophe, or social unrest, one thing remains constant. Fear keeps people engaged. Fear keeps people consuming. Fear keeps people emotionally reactive. And fear keeps people controllable. Now let's establish facts clearly before the noise machine starts malfunctioning online. Leptospirosis and hantavirus are real diseases. People say, they are not the same illness. They said, one is bacterial, one is viral. Distinction matters. Facts matter. Reality matters. But what we're analyzing tonight is the emotional machinery surrounding public fear. Because somewhere along the line, public awareness transformed into perpetual psychological alarm. And people are exhausted of mongering fear into their minds. The Uncloned deck. Trust is collapsing everywhere. Not just in governments. Not just in media. Not just in corporations. Every institution now operates under suspicion. Why? Because people remember contradictions. They remember changing narratives. They remember experts disagreeing publicly. They remember policies reversing overnight. And once public trust cracks, every future emergency becomes politically charged. That doesn't mean every institution is malicious, but it does mean transparency matters more than ever. People don't want slogans anymore. They want honesty. The Uncloned deck. Let's be brutally realistic. Fear generates engagement, and engagement generates money. I overheard a calm, smart-ass saying, situation being monitored responsibly. It will be ignored for sure because they can't put their trust on that agency who dropped the bombshell on that man-made pandemic 7 years ago. But a news headline could be screaming in the near future, fueled by people who wants to control everything. New threat could spread globally. For sure, it will travel across the internet in seconds. That's the system now. Algorithms reward emotional intensity, and panic is emotionally intense. The Uncloned deck. People wake up afraid now. Before coffee, before breakfast, before sunlight, they grab their phones and inject anxiety directly into their nervous systems. Conflict, outrage, disease, collapse, disaster, endless doom scrolling, and eventually people stop distinguishing between awareness and addiction. Fear changes biology. Heart rate rises. Stress hormones activate. Critical thinking narrows. Humans become more reactive under fear, and historically, frightened populations become easier to manipulate politically, commercially, and socially. That's not conspiracy. That's psychology. Here's where modern discourse becomes dangerous. People think there are only two options: blind obedience or blind rejection. But intelligent skepticism exists in the middle. Questioning narratives does not mean rejecting science, and trusting science does not mean surrendering independent thought. Those are not mutually exclusive. The Uncloned deck. Years ago, fear traveled slowly. Now fear travels globally in seconds. One post, one clip, one manipulated headline. Millions react instantly, and social media rewards emotional reactions before facts are verified. That's a dangerous environment for public understanding. Here's the uncomfortable reality. When institutions lose credibility, misinformation spreads faster because people stop believing official explanations entirely. And once that happens, every rumor gains oxygen. That's why accuracy matters. That's why transparency matters. And that's why institutions should communicate carefully instead of theatrically. Earlier, before the show began, a Northstrong Unsanctioned crew asked me, "Magnus, do you think the media intentionally keeps people afraid?" That's a good question. I think fear has become structurally profitable. That doesn't require secret meetings in underground bunkers. It only requires incentives, ratings, traffic, engagement, clicks. Systems naturally evolve toward what gets attention, and fear gets attention. The Uncloned deck. Curious, she asked me a follow-up question. Do you trust public health organizations? I told her, I think institutions should be questioned responsibly, not worshipped blindly and not demonized automatically. Healthy skepticism is necessary in a free society. But skepticism without evidence becomes paranoia. And paranoia can become just as destructive as propaganda. Fear divides people. Families fracture. Friendships collapse. Communities turn hostile. People stop listening to each other. And eventually, society becomes emotionally exhausted. That exhaustion creates cynicism. And cynical populations are easier to destabilize. You cannot control every global event, but you can control how much panic you allow into your nervous system. Protect your mental clarity. Limit fear addiction. Verify information carefully. Read beyond headlines. Think independently. And most importantly, do not become psychologically programmable and manipulated easily. The Uncloned deck. Before this broadcast disappears into the static tonight, before the algorithms move on to the next outrage cycle, before another headline demands your fear, your anger, your attention, there's something important people need to understand. Modern society is not merely fighting a battle for information. It's fighting a battle for human attention, because attention has become currency. And every corporation, platform, institution, political movement, media outlet, influencer, and outrage machine is competing for it relentlessly. Not your time, your mind, your emotional energy, your focus. That's why the world constantly feels loud now. Endless notifications, endless emergencies, endless reactions, endless division. People rarely sit in silence anymore, rarely reflect, rarely disconnect long enough to hear their own thoughts clearly. And when human beings lose the ability to think quietly, they become easier to emotionally direct. That's one of the greatest dangers of modern culture. Not technology itself, but overstimulation, the permanent flooding of the nervous system. People are mentally exhausted from carrying the emotional weight of the entire world every single day through their screens. And eventually exhaustion creates confusion. Confused people become reactive. Reactive people become manipulable. That's why protecting your peace of mind is no longer optional. It's necessary. The Uncloned deck. History has always shown one undeniable truth. Fear changes human behavior faster than reason does. Fear can unite people. Fear can divide people. Fear can motivate. Fear can paralyze. And throughout history, powerful systems have always understood the influence fear carries over populations. Governments understand it. Media understands it. Corporations understand it. Political movements understand it. That does not automatically mean every warning is deception. It does not mean every crisis is fabricated. But it does mean people must remain psychologically aware of how fear influences perception. Because once fear dominates the human mind, critical thinking weakens. And when critical thinking weakens, emotional narratives become easier to sell. That's why independent thought matters, not performative rebellion, not contrarian behavior for attention, actual independent thought. The ability to step back from emotional chaos and ask, what is fact? What is assumption? What is emotional manipulation? What benefits from my reaction? Those questions matter now more than ever, because information warfare no longer looks like traditional warfare. It looks like confusion. It looks like outrage. It looks like division. It looks like millions of people emotionally reacting before verifying reality. And when society becomes emotionally unstable, rational conversation begins collapsing. That's the road civilization should avoid at all costs. The Uncloned deck. Maybe the most rebellious thing a person can do in this era is remain mentally grounded, not numb, not disconnected, grounded. To think calmly in a culture addicted to panic is powerful. To seek nuance in a world obsessed with extremes is powerful. To remain rational while everyone else spirals emotionally online, that is powerful, because clarity has become rare. People today are constantly pressured to choose sides instantly, believe everything, reject everything, panic immediately, attack immediately. But wisdom requires patience. Wisdom requires observation. Wisdom requires emotional discipline. And emotional discipline is disappearing in the age of algorithmic outrage. That's why protecting your mind matters. Read carefully. Verify information. Question narratives responsibly. Take legitimate dangers seriously without surrendering your psychological stability, because fear can become addictive. Some people become so conditioned to outrage and catastrophe that calmness starts feeling unnatural to them. That's dangerous. Human beings were not designed to exist in permanent emotional alarm states. Eventually, it damages mental health, relationships, communities, and society itself. And this broadcast tonight is not encouraging denial. It's encouraging balance. There's a difference, a massive difference. Reality matters. Truth matters. Facts matter. But emotional manipulation also exists. And mature societies must be capable of recognizing both at the same time. The Uncloned deck. So tonight, as this transmission fades into the darkness, remember this. Do not surrender your humanity to outrage culture. Do not surrender your sanity to non-stop panic cycles. Do not allow algorithms, headlines, influencers, or institutions to completely dictate your emotional state every hour of your life. Stay informed, stay aware, protect your health, protect your mind, protect your ability to think independently. Because once people lose the ability to think clearly, they become vulnerable to manipulation from every direction imaginable. And in a world overflowing with noise, clarity becomes rebellion. Not reckless rebellion, not destructive rebellion, conscious rebellion, the refusal to become mentally programmed by fear. That's what the Uncloned deck stands for. Not hysteria, not blind obedience, not blind cynicism, but awareness. Awareness sharpened by reason. Awareness guided by perspective. Awareness grounded in reality. And whether the world becomes louder tomorrow or quieter, whether the next headline brings chaos or calm, never forget your mind belongs to you. Guard it carefully. This is Magnus Graves, and this has been the Uncloned deck. Only on Northstrong Unsanctioned, where truth, rhythm, and rebellion collide. Until next transmission.